Warning. What you're about to see in the next 30 seconds will completely shatter everything you thought you knew about Hollywood celebrities. You have exactly 20 seconds to witness the most insane legal moment in courtroom history, where Leonardo DiCaprio, the guy everyone knows from Titanic, is about to do something that will leave a federal judge completely speechless. Everyone thought they knew Leo as just another pretty boy actor. But when Leonardo DiCaprio stood up in federal court that day, he was about to reveal a secret so shocking that it would change environmental law forever. Not just Oscar-winning acting, but mind-blowing environmental law expertise, years of secret climate litigation study, mastery of constitutional environmental protection that would make Harvard professors jealous. Federal Judge Patricia Williams was about to make the biggest mistake of her career, dismissing Leo as just another Hollywood environmentalist playing lawyer. She had no idea that standing before her was someone who understood climate law better than the EPA's top scientists. "Your Honor, Judge Williams," said DiCaprio, his voice carrying an authority that would make even the Supreme Court listen, "may I speak to you about the Commerce Clause's relationship to climate regulation and why your ruling could destroy the constitutional foundation of environmental protection? What happened next will make your jaw drop and prove why this video already has millions of people talking. Before we dive into this absolutely insane legal showdown, smash that like button and subscribe, because what Leo does in the next 15 minutes will leave you questioning everything. Judge Williams's world, climate skeptic authority. Federal Judge Patricia Williams represented everything wrong with climate denial in the legal system. At 58, this Trump-appointed judge had built her reputation on crushing environmental regulations and protecting corporate polluters from climate lawsuits. A corporate law background with zero environmental expertise, Williams embodied the fossil fuel industry's dream judge. Her judicial philosophy was simple: destroy any environmental regulation that hurt business profits. Williams particularly hated celebrity environmental activists, viewing them as privileged Hollywood elites interfering with real legal work. That day, seeing Leonardo DiCaprio across her courtroom, Williams was practically drooling at the chance to humiliate him publicly. She thought she was facing just another actor with the environmental hobby. She was about to learn the hardest lesson of her judicial career. DiCaprio's secret transformation from Hollywood to climate legal genius. Here's what will blow your mind. While the world knew Leonardo DiCaprio as the king of Hollywood, starring in Titanic, The Wolf of Wall Street, and winning his long-awaited Oscar, Leo had been living a double life that would make Batman jealous. Starting in 2006, after witnessing climate destruction firsthand while filming around the world, Leo began the most incredible educational journey in celebrity history. But this wasn't some PR stunt. This was real, hardcore legal education that would shame most environmental lawyers. "I realized pretty movies mean nothing if we don't have a planet to show them on," Leo had told his close friend and fellow environmental activist, Mark Ruffalo. "If I'm going to fight climate change, I need to understand the legal weapons that can actually win this war." Working with climate law professors from Yale, Stanford, and Columbia, Leo spent every break between films studying the most complex environmental regulations on Earth. Constitutional climate law, international environmental treaties, federal pollution standards. Leo mastered it all. By 2023, when this case brought him to federal court, Leo wasn't just defending the environment, he was a walking encyclopedia of climate law with legal knowledge that would make the EPA's top lawyers look like amateurs. The case that could save the world, climate rights versus corporate greed. The federal case that brought Leo to Judge Williams's courtroom was massive. DiCaprio versus Meridian Oil Corporation, challenging the oil giant's climate deception as violations of both environmental law and constitutional rights to life and liberty. Leo's lawsuit claimed Meridian had spent 40 years lying about climate science, funding fake research, and deliberately deceiving the public about fossil fuel dangers. But here's the game-changing part. Leo wasn't just suing for environmental damage, he was arguing that climate deception violated Americans' constitutional rights. If Leo won, it would create the first constitutional framework for climate protection in U.S. history. If Meridian won, climate lawsuits would be dead forever. Judge Williams saw this as her chance to kill climate litigation permanently while humiliating Hollywood's biggest environmental activist on national television. The setting, legal war zone. The federal courthouse in Los Angeles was packed beyond capacity. CNN, Fox News, MSNBC, every major network had sent their top legal correspondents because everyone expected to watch Leo get destroyed by a federal judge on live television. At the plaintiff's table sat Leonardo DiCaprio, dressed in a sharp navy suit that screamed legal professional rather than Hollywood celebrity. His legal team from the nation's top environmental law firms surrounded him, but Leo had shocked everyone by insisting he would present the constitutional arguments himself. At the defense table, Meridian Oil had assembled their army of corporate lawyers, led by the notorious Sarah Chen, a lawyer so ruthless she'd made environmental activists cry in previous cases. Behind her sat oil executives and lobbyists, all salivating at the chance to watch Leo crash and burn. Judge Williams was practically grinning as she prepared to teach this Hollywood pretty boy about real law. The first devastating exchange. "Mr. DiCaprio," Judge Williams began, her voice dripping with condescension, "this court acknowledges your entertainment achievements. However, environmental law involves complex constitutional principles that require serious legal expertise. Are you prepared to engage with real legal doctrine, or should we just discuss your latest movie?" The courtroom erupted in snickers. Williams had just delivered what she thought was a killing blow. The oil executives were practically high-fiving each other. Leo stood up slowly, his posture respectful, but carrying an energy that immediately silenced the room. "Your Honor, I appreciate your concern about legal complexity. However, I'd like to address that by discussing the Supreme Court's analysis in Massachusetts versus EPA and how climate regulation serves fundamental constitutional purposes that your preliminary ruling would obliterate." The snickering stopped immediately. Williams's smirk began to fade. This wasn't the fumbling celebrity response she expected. "The Clean Air Act," Leo continued, his voice gaining power, "operates under Congress's Commerce Clause authority, but its constitutional purpose extends far beyond interstate regulation. When corporations like Meridian systematically deceive the public about climate science, they violate not just environmental law, but the constitutional right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness." You could hear a pin drop in that courtroom. "The shocking revelation begins. Mr. DiCaprio," Williams said, her tone now completely different, "your constitutional analysis is surprisingly sophisticated. Where exactly did you develop this environmental law expertise?" This was the moment that would change everything. "Your Honor," Leo replied, his confidence now radiating through the courtroom, "I've spent 17 years studying environmental constitutional law through advanced programs at Yale, Stanford, and Columbia law schools. I've worked directly with Professor James Salzman at Yale on climate constitutional theory, studied under Professor Michael Gerard at Columbia on environmental litigation strategy, and completed intensive coursework in constitutional environmental protection." The shock on Judge Williams's face was priceless. Oil executives were literally leaning forward in disbelief. "Moreover," Leo continued, "my work with the Leonardo DiCaprio Foundation has given me access to the world's top climate scientists and environmental lawyers. I've studied every major climate case, every environmental precedent, and every constitutional principle that governs environmental protection." Williams' world crumbles. Judge Williams was now facing her worst nightmare, a plaintiff who actually knew more environmental law than she did, but she wasn't giving up without a fight. "Mr. DiCaprio, even if you've studied environmental law, you're asking this court to create new constitutional rights that don't exist in the text. How do you justify expanding constitutional protection beyond what the framers intended?" This question was designed to be a killing blow. Williams thought she was about to destroy Leo with constitutional originalism. Leo's response would make legal history. "Your Honor, the framers wrote the Constitution to protect life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. When Meridian's climate deception threatens the fundamental conditions necessary for human life, breathable air, stable climate, livable temperatures, they violate the core constitutional values that make all other rights possible. Williams was now visibly struggling. But Mr. DiCaprio, that's an extremely broad interpretation of constitutional rights. With respect, Your Honor, Leo interrupted. The Supreme Court's decision in Juliana vs. United States recognized that climate stability is fundamental to constitutional rights. When corporations systematically deceive the public about existential climate threats, they violate the constitutional right to life itself. The constitutional masterclass. What happened next was the most brilliant legal argument in modern environmental law history. Leo pulled out a comprehensive legal brief that was thicker than a phone book. Your Honor, I've prepared a detailed constitutional analysis showing how climate deception violates multiple constitutional provisions. First, due process. Meridian's deception denied Americans the information necessary to make informed decisions about their lives and safety. This violates procedural due process. Second, equal protection. Climate impacts disproportionately harm minority and low-income communities, creating constitutional violations under environmental justice principles. Third, interstate commerce. Climate deception distorts markets and prevents interstate cooperation on climate solutions, violating Commerce Clause purposes. Judge Williams was now taking frantic notes. The oil company lawyers looked like they'd seen a ghost. Fourth, general welfare. The Constitution empowers government to promote general welfare, which obviously includes protecting the climate systems that make human welfare possible. Williams' total transformation. The change in Judge Williams was incredible to witness. Her initial arrogance had completely evaporated, replaced by genuine respect for Leo's legal expertise. Mr. DiCaprio, Williams said, her voice now filled with something she'd never felt before. Humility. Your constitutional analysis is extraordinary. You've presented environmental arguments that are more sophisticated than anything I've seen from professional environmental lawyers. Thank you, Your Honor, Leo responded graciously. I hope this demonstrates that environmental protection isn't just policy preference, it's constitutional necessity. When corporations deceive Americans about climate threats, they attack the very foundations of constitutional democracy. The oil company's desperate final attempt failed spectacularly. When their lawyer tried to argue that environmental regulation hurt business, Leo demolished them with precedent after precedent, showing how environmental protection strengthened rather than weakened economic prosperity. The historic victory. 2 weeks later, Judge Williams issued a groundbreaking 67-page decision that would change environmental law forever. She not only ruled in Leo's favor, but adopted his entire constitutional framework, creating the first constitutional right to climate protection in American history. The decision included this amazing acknowledgement. Mr. DiCaprio's constitutional analysis represents a revolutionary understanding of environmental rights. His work will influence environmental law for generations. The global impact. Leo's victory triggered an avalanche of climate lawsuits using his constitutional framework. Oil companies faced billions in damages, environmental groups gained unprecedented legal weapons, and climate protection became a constitutional right rather than just policy. Law schools immediately began teaching DiCaprio's constitutional climate theory. Environmental lawyers called it the most important legal victory in climate history. Most shocking of all, major oil companies began settling climate cases rather than face Leo's constitutional arguments in court, leading to hundreds of billions in climate action funding. Leo had literally changed the world through legal brilliance that nobody saw coming. This mind-blowing story of hidden legal genius and environmental constitutional courage left you stunned. You need to smash that like button and subscribe right now for more incredible fictional stories of celebrities with secret legal expertise. Ring that notification bell, because these stories of unexpected brilliance, defeating established authority, will keep you coming back for more. What did you think of Leo's incredible constitutional expertise? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let us know which celebrity legal genius you want to see destroy a judge next. Important. This is completely fictional entertainment created to amaze and educate. Any resemblance to real events is purely coincidental.